You have probably heard of other ways to monetize, for example having Patreon supporters. In this chapter I'm going to explore this and also other opportunities you can use to make more money. You know about these opportunities from the consumer point of view, however from the creator one it is a little bit more different. I'm not going to go too technical here regarding how exactly to set up your tiers and what exactly to offer. First up, let me cover is it even worth it to begin with. Well, in my opinion it is, however it depends entirely on what you would be giving to your supporters. Some creators like to make promises that they couldn't keep, so in my opinion if you're going to deliver anything, make sure that you under-promise and over-deliver. How I run my Patreon is very simple. For about 2 years I have been uploading on and off, not really taking full advantage of it. Today, as I have a team of people and generally have a buffer of around 8 videos, to my Patreons I simply give them early access to the videos I have already made, but not uploaded yet on my YouTube. This is the most common perk that you can offer, but also it doesn't cost you anything to deliver on this, given that you already have a video ready in advance. In fact, using this approach can actually benefit you and your channel. This is because your Patreon supporters are usually your most committed viewers, and as such they're going to watch every second of these videos. Essentially what this means is that you're giving early access to your most committed viewers, and these are the ones that are the most likely to find any mistakes so you can correct them before everybody else sees it. In turn, this would make your content better and also you would be earning a little bit of money from Patreon. In my opinion, this is the baseline you should start working with. And then as you get more comfortable and knowledgeable of what your audience actually wants, remember one of the previous chapters which was called Knowing Your Audience, here it would come very in handy. This is because once you know what your viewers want, you can deliver on these simply on Patreon. Whether it be Patreon exclusive videos or weekly group calls where you guys talk about history, or anything else that your audience might find interesting, you can simply add it to your Patreon as separate tiers. What I have seen other channels do is shout out their Patreons names in the videos themselves. Like for example History Matters if you're familiar with his content. This is something that you can also do if you'd like and also wouldn't cost you much. However, as you can imagine, this would slightly hurt video retention. Once you have created your Patreon and started offering something in exchange for money, if you want to promote your Patreon further, you can directly shout it out in your videos instead of doing a sponsorship. To make it work, however, you're going to need a clean offer. For example, join my Patreon because of X for Y price. Make the announcement very brief and quick and it would be converting. At 10,000 subscribers, which is towards the lower end of layer 3, it's not impossible to get one person to join your Patreon per video, given that your offer is very clean. As such, after a year of building it, you could be earning towards the lower end of hundreds of dollars per month just by Patreon. Now let me give you my personal approach to Patreon, which is that I don't promote it extensively in my videos and I basically do the bare minimum. Anybody that is there is because they have watched a lot of my videos, found the link in the description and decided to support me, not because I ever promoted it or delivered any exciting perks. As such, as of recording this video, I am making about $40 per month on Patreon, without any promotion and giving my supporters early access to my videos. That's all I'm doing right now. The reason why I'm not leaning into it is because the ROI or return on investment is very low in my opinion. This is because there are other way better opportunities than Patreon where you should focus your time instead. However, I decided to mention it here because it is so popular. Also, you can always give it a try. This is because it is for free on your end and basically there is zero risk. So you should start from there. Now let me talk about other opportunities that you have unlocked to make more money in layer 3. For example, like YouTube membership, which is basically just like Patreon. There, you can give early access to people, make videos exclusively for them, make community posts only for your supporters and so on. Because the YouTube membership is on platform, it is going to convert way better than Patreon. However, YouTube takes a larger cut than Patreon, so it is a hit or miss here. These are the two main opportunities that people use in layer 3, and I don't think that I have surprised you with any of these. However, I hope that I have shown you how to use them properly from the creator point of view. There is one more monetization opportunity I would quickly like to get out of the way, which is affiliate marketing. There, what you basically do is find a product that has an affiliate link, and when people buy from your link, you're going to get a cut from this. Many online gurus are going to tell you that this is a viable strategy to make money online. However, I'm going to heavily advise against this. The main reason is because there aren't many affiliate marketing opportunities in the history niche as of right now. So there is basically nothing that you can promote that your audience would actually want. Now yes, some opportunities do exist, like ground news. I'm not saying that they don't. However, still I have not found anything that is worth my time, and looking at other channels in the niche, nobody else has done affiliate marketing so far. Now yes, in the future there would perhaps be some more opportunities, so make sure to stay open-minded, but for now just discard it. Moving on, let us cover some opportunities that most creators miss out on and they actually work. One such thing is creating a product and promoting it in your videos. The prerequisites of going down this approach is that you have already done a few sponsorships, because these are going to give you the experience and the blueprints to promote your own products later on. This is because firstly you should learn how to promote other people's products. This way you can potentially be making more money than sponsorships can ever give you. And also you have complete control over how many times you can promote this product, where to promote it, and so on. To create a product, you're going to need one very important thing, and I'm not talking about skills. Instead, it is of course product market fit. Basically, you're going to need to find a way of testing if your audience would actually be interested in buying such a product. And again, we're talking about knowing your audience that I covered in a previous chapter in layer 2. The better that you know your audience, the better the idea for the product that they would actually want. I really don't want to get into the specifics here, because if I do so, I would need to make another 5 to 6 hour long free video where I explain how to promote, make a product, and so on. As such, for the purpose of this chapter, I'm going to keep it very simple. Your audience has pain points, where people usually exchange money for pain alleviation. The higher the pain, the more they're willing to pay. By knowing your audience, you're going to know what pain points they have, and as such, you're going to start thinking of ways you can solve these problems for them. The most common problem in the niche is of course boredom, which I think that everybody watching this video knows how to resolve. This is by you making your YouTube videos, however you can take it a few steps further. For example, can you create a PDF with a card game that you have created, where the audience is going to print it at home to play it? This is one way to resolve boredom. Another way would be, for example, to write a book, just like I have done. I'm going to talk about my products in a little bit, where I'm going to give you some actual numbers. Generally, and I know that I'm repeating this, if you know your audience, you can know how to create a good product to help them out. As such, if your audience is reading books in their free time when they're bored, write a book. If they're playing video games in their free time, you can create a tabletop card game, and so on. Now, let me talk about my book. I wrote this like 2 years ago, in March of 2024. And it took me 4 days to write, and another extra day to publish it and create the cover and so on. Fast forwards to today, it has sold about 250 copies. Physical and ebook combined. So it has made $1,500 in profit. This was all basically without any promotion on my part, just linking it in my video descriptions ever since. I had to make just one video explaining it, and this was about it. Simply put, when you average it out, I worked for 5 days to earn $1,500, which is about $300 per day. However, this has the caveat that it took me 2 years to achieve these numbers of sales. As you can imagine, because I wrote this in such a short amount of time, the end result is not great. This is because it has a lot of typos, and this was generally my first book, so I had no idea what I was doing. Good news for me is that I have learned a lot from these prior mistakes. So if I were to write another one, I think that it's going to perform a lot more better. And also I'm going to give it more time and love, not just 5 days. I want to say again that I had not promoted this book in any of my videos, however I could have instead of a sponsorship segment. If I were to do that, I'm sure that this would generate a noticeable amount of money. I mean, $1,500 is very good for no promotion. So you can just imagine what it can do with some promotion instead. The thing is that I'm not proud of this product. So when I promote or sell anything, I want this to actually be very good, not just be a cash grab. Of course, you should adopt this rule as well, or else your audience wouldn't trust you in the future. Now, I can also understand that, for example, you may not be capable of writing an entire book or creating a card game as to solve your audience boredom, for example. This is because you may be lacking certain creative skills to make it work. This is why you should look at your target audience or their pain points and think to yourself what you can actually solve. For me, I have decided that one-on-one coaching and helping creators just like you, for example, get to grow their channel and reach their desired state is the most optimal use of my time. This is because I'm extremely passionate about this and I know a thing or two about growing on YouTube. I decided to pick coaching as my main product for several reasons. The first and main one is that I really hate doing voiceovers. So, while conversing with my clients, it is very much text-based, which means that I can get over this bottleneck. This way I can do a skill that I actually like, which is writing, instead of doing a skill that I really hate, which is talking to a microphone. Simply put, do not copy what me or other creators around you are doing. This is because for them it makes sense, given their strengths and weaknesses. However, you can be very much different from them. Perhaps you can decide to copy me with a coaching idea. However, you wouldn't mind talking to a microphone for hours. If this is the case, you doing live streams instead of coaching could be way better use of your time. Your audience may be having other problems besides boredom that you can actually resolve. I know that the history niche heavily dislikes oversimplification and how complicated events are boiled down to sentences. History fans nowadays, in my opinion, want a lot more depth. Which is why over a year ago on rewriting history my video length has closely to doubled. Even this free video is like 5 hours long? Hopefully the end result of this video is something more in depth and not something that you can find somewhere else. The fact that I'm making this and that you're watching this right now means that I am aware that people would want to watch something more in depth, not watching a 5-minute video and pretend to be learning. If you think that your audience heavily dislikes oversimplification, you can do just that and make longer videos, which is also going to make you more money with more ad revenue. Or you can simply make and sell products designed specifically for that. Maybe you can write essays on topics that you like and sell them, perhaps including them in your Patreon. Or maybe you can have a newsletter where you teach your subscribers about curious events in history that you have just learned and they don't know about. Another thing that your audience also wants is that they want to participate in your videos, not be just casual viewers. Think of video games compared to movies and how the video game genre has grown so much compared to the movies, where nowadays it is larger than movies and music combined. This is because in video games you can change things, you can impact the world and be what you want to be. In movies and music, no matter how much you scream at your television, nothing is going to change there. People simply want more control and are willing to pay for that. So how can you create a product that would get your audience involved in your videos? Can you host debates on your Patreon, where a member of your audience would come in and state an opinion? And somebody else can also challenge it, creating a cool content. While this may work, it could be way too controversial for your liking. The earlier mentioned printable card game is also a good idea to be used here, because not only it resolves boredom, it gives people control. So it would strike 2 birds with 1 stone. Thus it is a better idea overall if you want to pursue this idea. Another thing that your audience would also want is that they want to learn and improve, hence why they're watching history videos in their spare time. As such, anything that you can do that would make your audience learn quicker would be very valuable. For example, most of them know some basic history facts, however not the entire picture. Even me and some other creators know very well about a certain time period, but we're completely blind in another. The same thing is for continents. Bridging this gap is something that I'm personally willing to pay for. There are many ways to solve this exact problem, and I already gave you the example of the card game, so why not continue it further? Let us say that this tabletop card game is about the First World War, which is known for trench warfare. Perhaps your card game is not only interesting to play, but also very educational, showing how brutal it actually was. Many people already know that the trenches were horrible, however with your card game you can visually show this, which would work even better. For example, you can draw a card where the enemy is going to use mustard gas on your positions, or your generals are going to order an attack, where 50% of your soldiers are going to die. Or you draw a card that the trenches get mutinies or disease outbreaks. This way, the players of this card game are going to very quickly realize how actually horrible it was, so they can now understand why historically the war was hopeless for both sides in 1917, for example. The purpose of this card game and other similar products is to take your viewers' scattered knowledge and put it in one place. You can also even write a short booklet about the Great War that would come with your printable card game, where you can explain the key events of the Great War. Another problem your audience may be suffering with is a lack of belonging. As history viewers, they are generally seen by society as weird and are outcasts. This is because society hates learning about history, however we do it for fun, so we're seen as very weird. As such, creating a space of belonging like a community could be very useful for your audience. For example, your Discord server can partially be solving this exact issue. There are several ways where you can monetize on this. Again, maybe on Patreon you can host the weekly calls like I suggested earlier. You need information to know what your audience needs and are lacking, but you also need creativity to provide for their needs. This goes not only for making a product and monetizing your audience better than AdSense, but also fulfilling the need of your audience is priceless nowadays, as not many creators actually care about who actually watches them. Eventually, these people fail. Let me cover one last thing, which are products that you're familiar with: t-shirts, mugs, posters, and so on. Tell me right now, what problem exactly does this solve for your audience? Think a little bit about this before I give you my opinion. What I think these solve for your audience is the lack of belonging aspect. People want to be part of a community, and these products in my opinion solve exactly this. Perhaps partially with boredom as well, however they are usually not educational. Based on what I have told you so far and practices that make for a good product, you can make these also educational as well to fill in as many boxes as possible. For example, I have this mug about Switzerland with their canton flags and canton names. As such, it does solve my belonging and knowledge issues. As such, don't sell a mug that is just your logo. Not many people would care about this, I will tell you this much. Instead, make it educational. What do you think they want to learn more about? Heck, for example, just see the top 50 European rivers and draw them on a mug. People would be learning stuff while drinking tea. To summarize, a good product in the history niche has to solve boredom, sense of belonging, and to be educational. The more of these boxes that you check, the better your product could perform, given that you also promote it very well and the offer is very good. Don't be like, buy this coffee mug because it's a limited offer and I'm not going to make this ever again. Nobody will really care. Instead, you should say, if you want to learn geography facts while drinking your daily dose of coffee, you can get this mug to learn about the top 50 rivers in Europe. The most important thing I kept for last, which is product market fit. Make sure that what you're making actually has demand from your audience in advance, or else you would be wasting your time. Know what your audience wants, or ask them directly if they would buy this coffee mug, for example. You shouldn't launch your products before first doing your research and testing if there is demand for it. Because if you're doing this, you would be setting up yourself for failure. To prove demand, you can create a beta launch or do a wait list. For example, I did this with coaching. Initially, I collected a few hundred Google form replies, saw what the people were struggling with and what problems they wanted to solve with my coaching offer. Think of ways where you can test your product ideas as soon as possible, and once they're validated, only then you should begin making them en masse and promoting them on your channel. If it is a printable card game, give it to members of your community and see how they like it. Make adjustments according to their feedback and only then launch it for your entire channel. Another product that I'm working on as I'm recording this video is creating a history interactive website, where people can click on a country on a dynamic map of the world, so they can read more about the country or see how their borders evolve over time. There is also going to be a mapping tool expansion, where the people can create their own custom maps and side panels for their countries, and as such create their very own alternate history scenarios that they can share. By the time you're watching this video, chances are that this has already been completed. The day before yesterday, I actually validated everything, so that people were really liking the idea, so I'm going to be working more on this. This product, in my opinion, solves boredom because people can click on countries and see how they evolve over time. It also gives them knowledge because they can learn a lot of facts, and also it gives a sense of belonging because it would be like a community where the people can share their maps. To summarize this whole section, solve problems for your audience that you already should know about, because prior you watched the whole Know Your Audience chapter. Create an offer where you clearly state the transformation from their current state to their desired state. Beta launch your products before doing a full launch as to validate the idea, and then once you have done everything, congratulations, you would have had a successful product that now you need to promote in your videos. Remember, if this product doesn't make your audience's life better, they wouldn't be giving you any money. It is as simple as that.